I'm Sister Jeanne Wiest, and I'm presently the Director of Liturgy for Lumen Christi Catholic Community in St. Paul, Minnesota. I entered the congregation 38 years ago. My family has moved around the Midwest, but I've spent the most time in Wisconsin, so I guess I kind of call that where I'm from, but I'm definitely a Midwesterner. My college years, I was very involved in school. I played basketball and later field hockey and had a boyfriend, and I knew I wasn't going to do anything to alter that until I graduated. In the meantime, I would visit different religious congregations and check them out. But when I came to Adrian for a come and see weekend, I knew it was different. Now, what impressed me at the time was the other congregations had merely Kool-Aid and cake. Adrian offered beer, wine, cheese, pop, chips, and even more than that, I felt a real authenticity from the women. They weren't just putting on airs when we were together, but afterwards, when others went to their rooms, they were still their authentic selves, and that's what impressed me. When I returned back to my college apartment, my boyfriend called to see how the weekend went, and I was like, it is so awesome. They were so real. And before I could finish, he hung up on me. He could hear that I had found some place that really resonated with my being, and I continued to sit with it for that summer, and then as I began my last year in school, made contact with the pre-admissions director, asked what it took to apply, and applied not knowing anybody in the congregation. So my path is a little different than many others who really have known somebody, either as a teacher or family member or some acquaintance of the congregation. I came in dead cold that way. It was quite a learning curve because there were 1,800 women in the congregation when I entered. But from that first come and see, I knew that this was the right place. And 38 years later, it continues to be the right place. I was always looking at what are the possibilities out there, what might the future hold that I wasn't even aware of. So as I said, it was in the back of my mind, but I continued on with what most women my age in college did. And then as I got closer to graduation and was looking at what I was going to do with my life after graduation, there was a possibility of graduate school. I had a graduate assistantship in my back pocket if I hadn't been accepted to the congregation. And it was like, well, let's try this out. It seems to be the direction I was called to. And if it doesn't work out, then you've got another plan. But never had to go to plan B. If someone's considering religious life, I would say, check it out. It's felt odd to go grocery shopping for religious congregations, but there are so many, and these days women don't have as much opportunity to interact with sisters. So check it out. I understand there's online surveys that can kind of point you in the direction of a religious congregation that aligns with your interests and gifts, and talk to people. Whether it doesn't have to be a sister, it can be a priest, it can be people in church, family relatives, and ask them what they think. I think one of the things that was always motivating me was my interest in serving people, of using my gifts, not just for myself, but to also help others. That was a driving force of why I thought religious life was an avenue I needed to pursue. I think the biggest thing about religious life for me was always the aspect of community. Now, it doesn't mean I've always lived with other sisters, but I've always known that it was the strength of the congregation behind me. There was always a sister I could turn to. Sisters that interact with me, that reach out at times of transition, at times where things aren't always going the best, at times when family members weren't doing well with their health. that it is a big family. It's another way of supporting our lives, another way of supporting my faith. And so the community dimension, I think, is something that we don't get in other ways in our life. So I would say it's the community dimension. It's where I've put my roots. And, you know, just like in any family, everything doesn't always go the best, but you work your way through it. And it's that love and care and outreach of religious life that keeps me and wants me to further invest myself with these other women that I call sister. People join religious life in the past because there were opportunities afforded to them as women that they didn't have in other roles. And we know now that there are many roles open to women in society, in life, in professions. And so some people may say, why should I become a sister? And as I said, it comes down to, I think, the understanding life as not being alone, but living and working with others who share a common vision. I think that's the other part of religious life, is we have a common vision of service. We have a charism of preaching that also directs our lives as to how we are with others and in our world. So there is a purpose for religious life today, and we certainly want to make others aware that being a sister isn't just something that we put into a box, but it's something that is always open to the gifts that the women bring. And those gifts are given to each individual, not just for ourselves, but to share with others. And that opportunity to share is nurtured within religious life.